All right, this game is something else. I figured that I would put it on YouTube, but this game is, I mean, it's worth putting. But this is just to give you a little bit of introduction. This is against somebody who's international master 2762, so he's 27 up. I'm like 2680, being consistent on 26 for a while. I'm trying to get to 27, 28, 29 even, but I'm not. It's not happening anytime soon, I don't think. But I'm trying. We're trying to reach. But that game is interesting, and instead of me keep saying it's interesting, let's dive in, right? So I was playing white, so I played e4 and e6. So people that follow me recently now, do you know that I play gambits? And it's something that it's okay to play in blitz games. Any openings is okay to play as long as it's not losing anything, right? So this it's not a gambit here, but we're gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what the gambit is all about. Knight f3, d5, and I play e5. And typically, you want to play c5, controlling the center, which my opponent did. And that the gambit is here, so that's b4. So this one is a wing gambit. The interesting part about this wing gambit, it could be played against the Caro, the French, the one that we are playing right now, and also the Sicilian. It's actually mainly played against the Sicilian, like e4, c5, b4. This is the beauty about it, is to play this gambit against all three openings, three major openings. I would assume, like the French and the Caro. It's fun, because he's played the same structure over and over again. It's not necessarily like a gambit that it leads to, like a huge advantage. Most gambits are, they could give you some activity, but this one is not like losing was white or anything. It's still like, gives you active play. The point of this gambit is you really sacking the pawn, and I play e3, and you try to play on, more centralizing. With the Sicilian though, with e4, c5, b4, you could see when you take on b4, I play e3, takes on e3. I could control the center fast enough. Here in the French, you don't control it that fast because there's still like, two pawns countering the center. But it's fun to play. It's a fun opening to play, especially in time control like 1-0, 3-0. You could even play it in 10-0, but you could still play it even in classical chess. I mean, I'm a believer that any opening could be played as long as it's not losing in any kind of level. As long as you know it. You know what you're doing, it fits your style, you know what you're doing, you study the positions all the way maybe to the middle game or even to the end of the game. So if you're able to do this, if you're able to keep up, the positions, you're familiar with the positions. Some people doesn't like to lose pawns. Why should I sack pawn? Once I lose a pawn, I lose the game, right? So you don't need to play that. Sometimes people are very positional, so this is far from positional play. So here is you do have to take, in my own opinion. I think when you're giving up a pawn sacrifice like this, you have to say, show me what you have, right? I was a little bit shocked by the next move, b6. When you play blitz games, it's okay to accept the gambit. It's not like you're going to lose in the next couple moves. You can, depending on the opening, but it feels like here taking on b4 is not a big issue. It's not like we're playing the World Championship title here and we're being very cautious about our moves. So I feel like, somebody who's 2700, he could still take the pawn, right? He played b6, and it's very interesting. So I actually played here, takes, and c3, trying to go with d4. It's actually more effective in the Sicilians to take control over c3, d4, even though c3 becomes a weakness. But he's still able to get some attack against, the king side once, black castle's king side. So he played knight c6, and not to my surprise, is the next move, right? So bishop b5, it's fine. Yeah, he's just doing this to attack. And bishop d7. Now, it's funny that I was preparing castling, and I did it fast enough, right? Looking at the clock. Could you guys pause the video and see if you have a tactic here? If anything, there's a tactic here, because I saw it as soon as I moved. And it's interesting. If you see the tactic, good for you. If you don't see the tactic, you may have to hit, the puzzle rush, because that would explain, because this is a pattern. This is not like you're looking at lines, a lot of lines to win something. You're looking at some kind of a pattern that usually repeats, usually it happens in openings, or even, it doesn't have to be openings, but it's kind of like a pattern where you could take a free pawn. Now, if you pause the video and you're able to find it, that's great. If you don't find it, as I mentioned, you do have to hit the puzzles. So the idea is here, knight takes e5, and it's terrible. The reason it's terrible, I don't like losing central pawns. In chess, chess is all about central play, right? And when you have a central pawn, you lose a central pawn, you lost a lot of value. So if you're losing an a pawn or h pawn, it's okay. You could still play for counter play, and maybe you have something you could create. But when you lose a central pawns, it's not a good idea, right? And if you play people who are stronger than you, or in a family member or something, usually when they take a pawn out, when they start taking it, let's say you play somebody, a family member that happens to be strong, right? And if you tell them to take a pawn out, they may take the h pawn or a pawn. They wouldn't be taking like a central pawn, because central pawn is really key in chess. So I dropped the central pawn, and I was like, okay, that's fine. We are playing wing gambit. We're gonna pretend this is the wing gambit, that if my opponent were to take on, like b4. So it's a gambit style, we're okay. So I proceed with knight takes e5. Obviously, he takes here. The reason this is a pattern, because I didn't explain it, I just went too fast. The reason it's a pattern here is because he simply takes here, and if you were to take here, his bishop takes. The bishop is loose. He's attacking here. And if you were to take here, thinking that this is smart, it's check. I'm going to take on d7, and he lose a piece on e5, right? Like queen takes, knight takes e5, you'd be up a piece. But the problem is, once you take here, he's going back, taking back. So he took the pawn, he's running across the table, laughing that he just simply made the knight jump. He danced between the, knight e5, and then he went back to d5, d7, and he took a pawn. He took a central pawn. So obviously that's terrible. You don't want to allow this, and that's the reason why it's actually winnable pawn. As soon as you take here, it's knight takes. So I knew that, of course. I mean, I took on e5. I told myself, well, let's play on. Rook e1, knight f6, knight e3. So knight e3 is actually attacking the bishop. I guess maybe bishop d7, just like he did. d4, which I'm playing, the ideas behind but it's not the same, of course. The idea of the wing gambit, he's just trying to get the bishop now activated. He took, which is funny that I played here. Pause the video and see if you have a tactic. Now, if you don't see it, you may have to hit the tactics puzzle rush or any kind of puzzle really hard, because this tactic is very obvious. It's nothing like the one before on e5. There's another tactic that seems to be very obvious. If you see it right away, that's good. Of course, you have to see it. I would say 95% of people would see it. If you don't see the tactic here, I'm serious that you really have to study your tactics. And the issue, I saw it as well. I see all my moves, the good moves after I make my blunders, right? So I saw it as soon as this happened. And obviously the next move is, did you pause the video, folks? You did? You sure? All right. Make the move now. Takes. So I lost a piece, So I lost the central pawn. And I lost a piece. So it almost feels like I'm going back to the old days. Like I'm 1900 now, and I'm just losing pieces left and right, or much lower rated player. And, I'm being, I'm just not controlling the game. I'm not controlling my tactics at all. It felt like this way to me during this game. So I figured that maybe we could play on a little bit. Technically here, you could consider resigning, because now I lost a central pawn. I lost the piece. This is 2700. It's an IM actually. Why should he play on? Typically, you could play on if you have compensation. So in my own view, I had maybe a compensation the next couple moves, and there was none, actually. There's no compensation here. There's absolutely garbage stuff by me. But I took an f6, which actually another garbage, to be honest, because technically when you're down a piece, you're not supposed to trade. You need to keep, as much pieces as possible. For the other side, that winning a piece or winning a material, trading is always good, right? So I'm breaking every single rules in chess here, and he took with the pawn, which is okay. The next move is also interesting, so I figured that since I lost a piece, and a pawn. We just continue the trend, right? So I played here. Now that's a bluff, and I knew it's a bluff. The reason I played this because I have nothing pretty much. I mean, where I'm going to go take on d7, helping him out, go back to knight f3. Typically, I don't like to go back. Like typically going back to his original square, it just felt like it's a loss of a tempo or move. So I went like, well, hell with this. We just take on f7. The reason I did this move, it's a bluff, is because I felt like the king is exposed. Maybe I could find a way to, keep checking him all day long. But he just takes the knight, and there's no checking all day long. I mean, there's absolutely nothing. So here I played queen h5. That's the point of the move. But obviously, when you attack a king like this, it feels like the king is exposed. You need more pieces involved. You need like a queen, bishop, knight, more pieces on the board to attack directly on the king, right? I'm just attacking with just one piece, right? So once he plays here, even the rook takes on e6, it's just the bishop is defending e6. So there's nothing here that suggesting that this sack makes any kind of sense. But I was, I felt like I could, give him a check or two and see what happens, right? So another check on h6. I mean, this is totally lost. But he played here. That's still fine. There's no buts. So I actually here, and here is very simple, like attacking here. I'm just moving in, closing into his king as if I have a tactic, right? There's nothing here. Thus the queen is doing the attack. One piece wouldn't do it. You need like at least 2 or 3 even, and also pawns, maybe a pawn that including with the attack or something like that. But at least you need a couple pieces, not just one. So here he played here, typical rook f8, and that's fine. I played here. Now I had some imagination where that rook b7 would save the day for me, right? And nothing is going to save anything. Rook b7 is nothing at all. Nothing is really happening. I actually felt like even pawn takes, that's over, and nothing is really happening. And he played queen e7. It's a bit too surprising because pawn takes it's there anyway. There's nothing to fear in this position. And obviously queen g3 was played. Bishop d6, queen h4. I moved my queen a couple times, and then he took the pawn on c3, which he could have took it on c3 early. Rook b7, and now the strongest move in the board that, in my own opinion, was trying to get it. Rook b7. This is where the attack is gonna continue and happening. Rook c8, and obviously now you're looking at this position. That position is completely not lost. It's like I mean, we should just resign this like 20 years ago. c2 is coming. There's not enough pieces at all. I mean, I was just shocking that I played on. I mean, there's 2 minutes in, and it's a little bit unusual for me to play this kind of position, but I played it on, and I checked. For some reason, I felt like the checking seems to click in. Like it seems to kick in, like I'm giving h6 check. I went to g7, now h5 again. But nothing is happening here, so he played queen here. I felt like this is a little bit interesting. I mean, I think king d8 is good enough. I mean, or rook f7 even. The reason I'm saying that, because obviously when he plays queen here, I have this next move, queen takes d5. Now, it's funny that it doesn't do anything for white, but it's just a free pawn. I'm closing in as if I have something, right? You cannot take because obviously there's a pin. But there's a lot of moves here by him. I mean, there's c2 even. You don't have to worry about d6 being under attack, right? Because the pawn would promote at c1. I mean, that's how laughable this position is. This position is only for the laugh, nothing competitive at all, but it's just to show you that sometimes you're able to, miracles could happen, right? Just to show you what I mean by that is c2, which, okay, I played here. If sacking my knight is not good enough, and if not losing my knight on a3 or d5 or e5 pawn is not enough, we just take on d7. This move doesn't make sense to me though. There's one move that black could do, and this is what we call like good knight. So it's c1. He could sack the queen all day long. And then if I were to take the queen after c1, it's queen takes rook, checkmate. I mean, it's that simple. Now, if he plays c1, you don't have rook takes e6. This is the only way that you could, you could still, you could keep going, but it's not happening. You cannot do this because there's a pin on them. The king is sitting on g1. So he could play whatever moves he wants and still wins, right? So he played queen here. He wasn't necessarily have to do it, but I was able to play here. Now, rook check is also losing because now you're 100% guaranteed that c1 is coming, right? So all he has to do is I think it's not any, but king d8 is possible the only way to play. I mean, queen e5, I don't think it does anything. Bishop c7, perhaps. And it's over, right? I don't have anything. You don't have rook takes. You're still gonna play this. By the way, he has a rook in f8, so he could do whatever he wants to do here, and he's winning. But c1 is coming anyway, so I don't have anything here at all. Now, to my surprise, he did this. I was like, what? This is real move here? Real? And he had like some time. It's 1:56 versus 1 minute. I'm actually down on the clock, but this has nothing to do with the clock. I mean, even if I have like 2 hours, this doesn't mean anything for me. He didn't spend some time here, and I was shocked that this move was played. Now, I actually felt like, the reason he did that, because he felt like he has a block. Like, he could block with the bishop, meaning that bishop e7 is actually winning, because he could, by default, promote. That he forgot that he cannot do this. He cannot block with the bishop, though. That's actually the biggest issue. Why can't he block with the bishop? Because the rook is hanging. And the biggest surprise of all is actually, yes, you take this. This is the biggest surprise, but obviously once you take this, you take on c2. You take this pawn that happens to be promoting, that should have promoted like 20, 30 years ago. Now it's going to be taking on c2. I looked at this and I was like, this is too much of nonsense. How could I save a game like this? I mean, this is an IM. It's too much of a position, that you don't really lose this one, right? Or draw this one. You don't lose this one. I mean, he's not losing because I would like to take this one back. It's not losing for black because here the issue is after here, he just simply allow me to take. And white cannot continue because obviously c1 is promoting, right? So this is a draw because the king is stuck. The king cannot get out of the draw pattern. So once you go here, I go here, I go here, I go here, and it's a draw. Even if he's a way out, like he could play on, he's not going to win, perhaps. It's still queen versus 2 rooks, but assuming that c2 is still there. So it's funny that I was able to draw a game like this. This is like, it almost feels like it's April 1st kind of stuff. April Fool Day, and it's a full kind of position. Like, I cannot believe this has actually happened during the game. And he had plenty of time. I mean, there's no reason to take here right away. There's king d8, there's bishop e7 even. There was no rush. Even bishop e7 worked. Maybe you don't worry about this, you play here. There's a lot of moves, even here. He doesn't have to do, and why would he just simply allow all of this? He just plays c1. I mean, that's, why he's really taking back. And he has plenty of time, 2 minutes. I mean, there's no excuse not to win that game with black. But I felt like sharing this game just to show you that sometimes in the right conditions, you could actually save games like this, but it's not going to happen often. This could happen within 20 years kind of thing. Like you could draw or win a game like this every once in a while, but it's going to take a long time to achieve something like this with an IM. I mean, this is not like a 1800 rated play. This is somebody who's still have a high rating, 2700 blitz rating. So I felt like sharing this game. It's for the laugh only, not entertaining, but it's not for the competition, right? This is far from the competition, but it's more for the laugh. So hopefully you guys enjoy this and stay tuned for more videos. Bring your friends.